There is a moment in every human life when something cracks, when the story that once made sense begins to dissolve, and a quiet, uncomfortable question rises from the depths. What if everything I believed about myself was never true? What if the image I hold as me, the struggling, aging, thinking, fearing creature, is nothing more than a costume worn by something far greater? This is not philosophy. It is the oldest secret buried beneath every religion, every civilization, every science that ever tried to explain reality. It says one thing only: there has never been a separate you. From the beginning, humanity was hypnotized into believing in division: God and man, heaven and earth, body and soul. Yet behind all appearances, there has only ever been one thing: consciousness. Call it God, call it source, call it life itself. Whatever the name, it has never been two. This is where the illusion begins. A world that believes it's made of matter, of separate beings struggling to survive, inevitably builds systems of fear. Governments rule through control. Religions promise salvation later. Economies thrive on scarcity. All because of a single mistaken assumption that consciousness is trapped inside a human body. But the truth is more extraordinary than any doctrine. You were never human. You were never born in the way you think, and you will never die in the way you fear. You are the eternal field in which birth and death appear like passing waves. The brain does not produce consciousness. It reflects it the way a radio receives an invisible signal. And that signal is what you truly are. For centuries, spiritual masters hinted at this. Jesus said, "I and the Father are one." The mystics of India declared, "Atman is Brahman." The soul is not separate from the infinite. The Taoists whispered of the flow that has no opposite. Yet somewhere along the way, this truth became diluted, ritualized, and forgotten. Humanity began worshiping the symbols, not the reality they pointed to. Today, we find ourselves in a world that runs on division. Our entire identity is built upon it. We say my body, my mind, my life, as though existence were personal property. But who is the "my" behind those words? Where is it located? In the brain, the cells, or is it simply an assumption that no one ever dared to examine? The deeper you look, the stranger it gets. Every thought, every sensation, every heartbeat arises spontaneously within awareness. You don't control the next thought any more than you control the movement of the stars. You are the witness of all experience, but that witness has no name, no age, no form. It was there before the first breath and will remain long after the last. Imagine this: a drop of water believing it is separate from the ocean. It spends its existence trying to return to the source, never realizing it never left. The moment it sees through the illusion, fear ends. The drop was never lost, only dreaming of boundaries that never existed. That is humanity's dream. The dream of being human. A magnificent illusion designed for exploration, not punishment. Through it, consciousness experiences itself as many as joy and sorrow, as love and loss, as growth and decay. Yet beneath all those appearances, the substance is one. This realization does not arrive as an idea. It strikes like lightning, a silent recognition that nothing is missing and never was. The war to improve yourself ends. The search for God ends. What remains is a stillness so vast that even thought bows before it. In this stillness, perfection is not a future goal. It is the condition of existence itself. Disease, lack, and conflict are not enemies to be defeated. They are mirages, errors in perception, like train tracks that seem to meet on the horizon but never do. The moment you see through them, they vanish without resistance. Yet this truth terrifies civilization, because if people realize they are not separate, the machinery collapses. Churches lose their authority. Markets built on fear crumble. Nations that thrive on division lose their power. Humanity would no longer need permission to be free. But freedom begins in silence, not in rebellion. When you close your eyes and turn inward, you step beyond the story of the body. You begin to notice that the thoughts that define you are only echoes. They appear and fade, but something remains. That silent awareness is not personal. It doesn't belong to you. It is you. This realization has practical consequences. It transforms how you relate to the body, to time, to suffering itself. The body, once seen as fragile and temporary, is recognized as a temporary instrument through which the infinite expresses itself. Fear of death begins to dissolve because the one who dies was never real. Time, once a tyrant dividing past and future, becomes transparent. Only the eternal present remains, the stage upon which all motion unfolds. And suffering, once seen as proof of imperfection, becomes a signal, a distortion created by the refusal to see what already is. True healing, therefore, is not fixing the body. It is correcting perception. The disease that disappears spontaneously, the peace that arises unexplainably, these are not miracles. They are the natural result of illusion collapsing. Reality never needed improvement. It only needed recognition. This is the revolution Joel Goldsmith called the infinite way, a spiritual science of direct experience. It asks for no belief, no dogma, no authority, only the courage to look directly at what is. Meditation becomes the laboratory. Silence becomes the microscope. You begin to see that the human experience is not a prison, but a projection. The consciousness you are uses it to explore its own potential. Every challenge, every desire, every victory, every failure, they are not events happening to you, but through you. And the you here is not the name or the face, but the timeless presence witnessing it all. From this awareness, prayer changes completely. It is no longer asking for things. It is communion with what already is. Not please give me, but thank you I see. Words become less about persuasion and more about revelation. You are not speaking to God, God is speaking as you. The implications reach even further. If there is no separation between the observer and the observed, then the entire structure of society, religion, economy, politics rests on fiction. The economy of scarcity collapses in the face of infinite abundance. The religions of distance dissolve when the divine is recognized as every heartbeat. Even morality changes. Good and evil, once eternal opposites, are seen as movements of the same ocean, the light and shadow that make the painting whole. This is not a call to abandon the world, but to live in it with awakened eyes. You still work, love, and create, but no longer from fear or need. You act from fullness. Life becomes art, each moment a brushstroke of the divine on the canvas of eternity. The mind stops being a tyrant and becomes a servant. Time stops being a trap and becomes rhythm. The self stops being a cage and becomes an open window through which the infinite looks out. But the ego resists. It clings to its identity because its survival depends on the illusion of control. It asks, if there's no me who lives this life? The answer cannot be spoken, it must be seen. The one asking the question dissolves the instant it looks for itself, like a shadow vanishing under light. The path then is not forward, it is inward, not through achievement but surrender. Surrender of the endless effort to become something more, to reach somewhere better, to prove something to the world. You cannot become what you already are. You can only stop pretending that you are. This recognition is what every true mystic calls awakening. It's not dramatic. It's not a lightning bolt from the sky. It's a quiet turning of perception, the realization that you are already home. The pilgrim's journey was never across distance but through illusion. And when this is seen, something astonishing happens. Compassion deepens. You realize every being, every creature, every star is a mirror of the same consciousness. The pain of another is your own. The joy of another expands within you. There is no longer you and them, only I am, expressing itself infinitely. From here, creation continues, but no longer from lack. You do not seek love. You radiate it. You do not seek meaning, you embody it. You do not chase truth, you become still enough for it to reveal itself. The world will still appear the same. The sun rises, bodies age, civilizations rise and fall. But the context changes. What once felt like chaos now feels like choreography. What once appeared as tragedy becomes transformation. Death itself is seen not as an end, but as a costume change in the infinite play of being. This is what every prophet tried to express and what every institution tried to own. But the truth cannot be owned. It can only be lived. And when it is lived, it subverts every form of control ever created by fear. You were never human, not in essence. The human story is a mask that the divine wears for a time, but behind it the face never changes. You are that face. You are the one light reflecting as all things. To realize this is not arrogance. It is humility, the deepest kind, for it dissolves the very idea of a separate self. So pause now. Breathe. Feel the rhythm of existence move through you. Notice that you are not observing life from the outside. Life is observing itself through you. The ocean is watching its own waves. There is no more search, no more distance, no more becoming. There is only recognition. Recognition that you were never lost, never broken, never apart. The dream of humanity fades, and what remains is what has always been infinite consciousness, playing as you.